What's up, guys? You're watching the edited version of the second episode of the What Do You Think podcast, hosted by me and Caden, and then featured with Xavier Goodman. This video is less than 30 minutes for the people that don't want to have to watch a whole hour and a half. Now, I'm going to say my editing skills are pretty dog shit, so don't hate, but pretty much I just got the highlights of the podcast, or some of the highlights, because I still wanted to leave a lot of the good stuff in the raw video. And I'd recommend, if you enjoy this, I'd recommend watching the full video, because the full video you get of a more of a feel of the actual conversation and kind of a more connection to what we're talking about. But if you don't want to watch an hour and a half and you just don't have the time, this is a great opportunity to kind of get some of the information we're talking about. I think you guys will all enjoy this, and I hope you guys have a nice day. And please like and subscribe and spread the word. All right, this is the second episode of What Do You Think podcast. It's James Crockett, the co-owner, and then we got Kane Shepard, the other co-owner. And today for our featured guest, we have Xavier Goodman. Now, Xavier, but I don't know much about the UFC, but I know Caden watched the fight. I don't know if Xavier did. So I'll have you two talk about the newest UFC fight a little bit, because for me, I don't really know anything. So I'm going to let Caden take it on, and I guess really just talk about their thoughts on the fight and kind of how it went.
All right, so I didn't really watch the whole event. I didn't watch like the first three fights. I think it was five, right? It's five fights, Xavier, for the card.
Main card?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I only watched the last two fights because I didn't really know anybody on the lower like fights. But I made sure to watch Michael Page versus Char Bullet because Michael Page is one of my favorite fighters of all time, and I think I like Char Bullet, but I think he's overrated, right? What do you think about that, Goodman?
Right. I feel like I haven't been too big in the UFC like recently, like just because I guess, but from what I've seen, it just seems like he got a quick highlight reel, and then but overall he's just like a mid level fighter. Not mid level, obviously he's in the UFC, but maybe definitely not a champion.
I think he's a great striker, but I think it's his striking ability is overrated due to how flashy his striking is. It's kind of like who am I gonna try to think of someone? Can you think of anybody that's like really flashy, so it makes them seem good, but they're not really that good?
I'm saying, when a fighter, I don't know, I can't think of any fighters like that, but when a fighter has flashy moves, like flashy back kicks and shit, it don't even matter. Just the aura alone, they won that fight.
Oh, Joaquin Buckley, he's really good, but I'm champion.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah, like
oh my bad.
Most of the time we're shown like strikers that go into the UFC expecting that they don't need to train grappling, especially nowadays where everyone's more well, like back in the day where it was like different people only training in a few styles going against each other. You could get off being more specialized in wrestling or just grappling or just striking. But especially in the modern day, like we haven't seen anyone get to a super high level without like training their grappling or their striking to both be high level. Like we've even seen certain grapplers like have shitty striking and like
Habib.
they get shit on. I mean, Habib, like, he's got power behind his shots, but like,
But he doesn't know
if
how
a
to throw a
striker goes into the
coherent jab.
UFC, like one of my favorite fighters, Stephen Thompson, has trained his grappling, but he's just not. He's not an elite level grappler, frankly, and that's what stopped him in one of his fights from basically getting a title shot, which he probably would have won at the time, given who the champion was. But I forget who it was, but he got knocked the fuck out by a grappler because he was like a little bit higher ranked and he wanted to go against him. But anyway, like yeah, it's definitely more important to have grappling in the UFC.
Here's a prime example of that. So the greatest boxer of all time, Muhammad Ali, people say he fell off because he had like brain damage and stuff. But the real thing that messed him up was he fought a kickboxer in a fight. And that man just kept kicking his knees. I think Xavier, his knees got like infected, or his legs got like infected, right?
Yeah, his shin
like
got
just messed him up.
infection.
Yeah, his legs got staph infections because he kept just tanking these leg shots. Boxers don't train for kickboxing at all for the most part. So if they went up against anybody that knows anything besides how to just box, they're cooked no matter what.
I think, okay, what's your thoughts on steroids in high level athletes? Like, should it be allowed or no?
I mean, like, it's like with general, like, I think Mike Tyson said this, but like in other like sports, a lot of people do it all the time, but specifically in combat sports, and I guess like most contact sports, it's like you're physically hurting another person and putting their life at risk. So like to like put it to another extreme where it doesn't really need to go, and it's like at the highest level, guys like Gordon Ryan and that one guy, they get like called out for
That one
using
guy.
heads. They get called out for using PEDs all the time, and like they're like, so what? But it's like you're competing and like harming other people.
Right,
It's a
so
tournament, buddy.
since you the feature and the guest, I kind of wanted to talk about what you're into. So biology a little bit. What do you CRISPR, genetic editing? Can you tell us a little bit about what that is and kind of how you think that's gonna help us in the future? I guess if you know anything about it.
Well, CRISPR-Cas9 itself is just a it's just a tool that basically makes gene editing a lot cheaper
Mm-hmm.
and more efficient than it was before. It was discovered in like I don't, I don't remember the year. I remember who the Jennifer Doudna. Sorry, hold on. Had to burp. She discovered it not too long ago. It was a very recent discovery. I think I think it was the year 2000.
Mm-hmm.
Coincidentally, I think also the same year they made the first synthetic organism. Um, but anyway, CRISPR
CRISPR was
itself just
invented in
makes it more
2009.
efficient. Huh?
CRISPR was invented in 2009.
Yeah, I was
Alright.
gonna say no
But
way
yeah,
CRISPR
it was
came out before 9/11. That's all I'm saying.
it was discovered in bacteria. It's basically like the bacteria's version of an immune system, but we can reverse engineer it to basically make gene editing technology a lot cheaper and a lot more accurate and a lot faster. But by proxy of that, basically, um, opens up a lot more possibilities these days. And of course, there's a lot of talk about like GMO plants or like GMO crops and farm animals, livestock, GMO livestock as well, and then like possibly like designer babies, engineering people and like making us live longer, eliminating disease and mortality, even uh, like
Dude, that's crazy to think.
just
Wait,
engineering the world around us, biomanufacturing, bioenergy, biofuels. It opens up a lot of doors.
dude, that's crazy to think about. There's like probably you think in a couple years, motherfucker, like rich motherfuckers are gonna be able to like edit their baby to just be good looking. Like obviously not like as the baby look good at it when it comes out, but like when they grow up, they're just gonna be a good looking
Yeah,
person.
yeah, bro.
Dude, that's like
Um, maybe not in a couple years, but definitely like I mean, there's like ethical concerns behind that,
yeah.
obviously, and there's like actually, Ken, we were learning about it in biomed class. There's a difference between gene therapies and just gene editing, and basically there's a large ethical argument that gene therapies are ethical, and basically what that is like eliminating genetic disease in its entirety,
Mhm.
like diabetes,
Cancer in
autism,
some
Down
form.
syndrome, forms of cancer, um, and like using genetic therapies to help with that.
Do you think people with Down syndrome should be having babies? Now, I'm saying this just because you are willingly putting this baby at risk of having a worse life. Now, I'm not saying people with Down syndrome have you know, they're not bad people, but you are giving that baby a worse life, if that makes sense.
Well, I
I don't
mean,
know.
yeah, and it's like it's a very complicated question, and there isn't like an objectively correct answer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's like people can definitely use technology to like reduce the risk, and of course, making care for those people easier. And
Mm-hmm.
like you said, like we definitely shouldn't condemn those people. They did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
They're children of God. Of course, they deserve all the love and respect
Mm-hmm.
that we do. Um, but like there is a point to be made that like why would you bring someone into this world basically unconsensually?
Knowing that they're gonna
And
suffer, like maybe
yeah,
not suffer. Like I'm not saying every person with that, but you know what I mean. They're going to
yeah,
objectively have
right,
a worse life.
right. And it's like that's that's a large ethical question, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like even like leading like ethical researchers and philosophers don't necessarily have an objective answer for it. So like
Mm-hmm.
not much that we can say.
Yeah.
I looked it up. Apparently, the mutation that causes Down syndrome is called trisomy 21, which is basically the 21st chromosome. Have three of them, and you're not supposed to. You're supposed to only have 2. And that's what fucks it up. And apparently, it's not necessarily hereditary, although it can be in less than 1% of cases. So Down syndrome specifically, apparently, is not.
Okay.
But there is a case to be made for a lot of other issues, though, and like even other like mental handicaps and like obviously other physical, just like diseases.
But I wanted to ask about, so like how viruses kind of evolve in real time and like building immunity to different medicines and stuff like that. And I think cockroaches kind of do that too with like against pesticides. I could be wrong. What is the reason that takes us so long from kind of, well, actually, no, we get immunities to sicknesses pretty fast, but like, why don't we evolve faster against like things like coldness or heat? Like, I feel like.
Right, I understand the question, but basically it's just simply because of how long a human generation is. Like a virus or a bacteria can reach sexual maturity, I guess, or asexual maturity in less than a day, less than like in 24 hours. You can take a single bacteria, you come back 24 hours later, there's going to be like 10,000 because like, and that's 10,000 generations of mutations occurring. And like, of course, humans reach sexual maturity at 18. Right. So that's 18 years of things that wait for one mutation to happen. And that's a day where thousands of generations of mutation happen. Right. So like scientists can put like a common lab experiment is to like, when you're editing a gene, you also insert an antibiotic resistant so that only the ones with the gene you edited survive. And like within like a day, like I said, like the whole culture is now filled with just the antibiotic resistant one.
Oh, okay. So it's like survival of the fittest almost. Like the ones that survive are gonna pass down their genes, so then the ones kind of like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's just why, because they reproduce faster, so the ones that makes sense. Yeah. Do you think it's a problem that our because a lot of different countries like India, which India does have a big poor population, but it's also because they have like 1 billion people in the country and not that much land. But
I think it's like 2 billion.
Yeah, Indian schools push high level like jobs like engineering, software development, and everything. And I would say our education system, unless you send your kid to a private school, doesn't really do that. Do you think that's going to have some bad effects in the future generations? And I think personally they're already seeing them now. But do you think that's going to be a big problem that we're not educating our kids properly?
I mean, I think it's a little bit of like we need a little perspective on it. Like, yeah, they do that, but then like for like their highest education, they still come to like Yale, Harvard, Ivy League schools, right? And like people like also America also has a huge population and it's the entertainment capital of the world. So it's like the world as a whole sees America, like it just sees everything. Like it sees the dumb people, it sees the smart people, but the dumb people get a lot of attention because they're funny to laugh at, like on the internet. And like freedom of speech, obviously, we have the freedom to say whatever the fuck. And people sometimes don't even understand that in their own country. They don't realize that like the reason you don't see shit from like China, obviously like the CCP is just gonna fucking kill you if you say something stupid, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like,
would they really be doing that? I thought China was chilling. I thought.
China be doing crazy shit too. They're more secretive about it.
Yeah, but like get it straight though, like Chinese people, Chinese culture is great. It's really cool. But the Chinese government, the CCP, is shit. It's terrible.
Dude, I've been saying this all
Okay,
along.
I didn't know that much about. I didn't know that much about the Chinese government. I thought they were just like business people,
No,
and they were fucking up like businesses.
nah, their government's crazy, dude.
Authoritarian basically.
Oh, yeah.
Like it pretends to be a democracy, but
Well,
like
one thing,
So
there
it's kind of
was
like how North Korea is to their people. They make it seem like a democracy, but it's really
yeah.
authoritarian.
well, the one lady that escaped North Korea, not the one, there was multiple, but I don't know her name, but she was on Joe
You
Rogan.
talking about the one on Joe Rogan? Yeah.
Yeah, and she has big boobs, right? It's important. Right? It's important, right? And then She talked about one of her first things, like experiences in America that made her happy, was that she got made fun of for having big boobs. And then she said, like, in my country, that wouldn't be able to be like, that wouldn't be a thing because you're not able to, like, have the freedom to criticize and stuff like that. So, like, she said it was, like, amazing. Like, even though it was made, like, kind of sexualizing her, she said it was amazing that someone could go up to her and say something like that to her without being, like, punished. Which, you know.
Like,
Real quick though, I was just gonna like finish what I was saying before. Like I was saying well, we talked about that after, but I was just saying like like we see like the dumb shit Americans do, but also America is still the number one leading like most innovative, like most lucrative, most productive country on earth. And like people like don't understand that. I guess they don't understand that America's still like top dog. It has a lot of problems, especially in the government. There's a shit ton of problems in our government, but like we still have the capability to be on top, and in a lot of sectors we are.
That's true. The
yeah,
scary thing is if Kim Jong Un, because the reason why people talk about North Korea so much with having nukes, because like the Chinese people and like Russians, they're not really gonna nuke us just because they might seem crazy, but they're more level headed. Kim Jong Un's actually pretty fucking crazy. He might be like an overall decently smart guy, probably, but like if he felt like he was gonna lose power, what's stopping him from sending nukes? Because everyone in that country follows his word, you know. China,
Right.
Xi Jinping, doesn't really have the authority to just call a nuke immediately. There is barriers. Now, yes, he could probably easily get through those barriers, but there's barriers to that. Kim Jong Un has absolute power. Like, if he wanted to send nukes, he could. That's why people talk about North Korea so much because, I mean, yeah, we would wipe them off the map, but I mean, they could kill millions of people. I don't know.
yeah.
It's pretty scary stuff, and we can't really do much about it either because it's not like we can invade them. It's not like we just kind of have to starve them out. That's what we've been doing. Just don't let people trade with them and just make them poor.
I have a question, James, because I know
Yeah.
you're like pretty well versed in like the
Wait,
government and
wait, wait,
stuff.
wait, 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 wait,
Oh,
wait. My bad.
my bad.
But not because I've heard at least that's kind of the idea that
Yeah.
people want. Because like specifically, it's like I've heard the CCP is obviously like pretty close with the and what do they call
Wait.
People's Republic of North Korea.
Uh, something People's Republic of North Korea. Just say
Yeah.
North Korea. Don't worry about
Anyway,
it.
yeah, North Korea. Anyway, they're close. That's basically their
Yeah.
only like ally, right? So it's like
Yeah, them and
Wait,
Russia.
China's?
yeah, like
China and
China.
Russia.
Yeah, China specifically wants everyone to cut ties with North Korea so that they sort of have to go through China because everyone like fears North Korea, right? So they feel like it's sort of a power move to like make everyone come to China's side because they say like, well, we got North Korea on our side, and they're like, in reality, North Korea probably isn't going to do anything, but the threat is there, like you were saying,
Yeah.
obviously. So it's like it's overall like maybe not the best idea for us to cut ties because that's really what they want at the end of the day.
Well, okay. So, the reason why we're cutting ties, it is to actually starve them out. I think we put sanctions on them during the '60s, and you can see, like, since the '60s, their economy has been ruined. Their everything about them has been ruined. They've been poor. That's kind of because sanctions. When you put a sanction on a country, right? It's not destroying or crippling the country immediately. It slowly starves them out because what it does is it stops their economy from growing, and when the economy stops growing, that's when it starts collapsing. So the idea is to slowly starve out the country until they're to the point to where they have to work with you or have to start listening to you. But that system would have worked if China and Russia didn't just kind of support North Korea and
Right.
keep them going. But North Korea is still struggling. As you can see, they're sending troops to go die on the front lines for some food and oil, you know.
I mean, America does that too. Like, anyway, Kaden, what were you saying?
So I was gonna ask you because you're like real big on the government, James.
A little
So
bit.
um, I seen a video last year where I think the president of China, right? He's the president.
Yeah, Xi Jinping.
He was in America and like Biden was all like introducing him and stuff. So were they like allies with us
Okay,
before or something?
so we need China, and China needs us. So we're pretty much roommates that hate each other, but we have to get along, if that makes any sense. We're technically allies, but we both disagree on everything, but we have to stay together just to keep each other alive, if that makes sense. So, like, we still are technically allies with China right now, I would say, but we know China's our main threat, and China hates us, and we kind of hate China, but we have to have each other, basically, because neither one can survive without the other. Our economy is dependent on their economy is dependent on us. It's kind of just a mutual. That's kind of the idea of globalism. Like, if everyone is connected to where if someone breaks off, they're in financial struggle, and it kind of keeps us at peace. That's kind of the idea.
All right. That
So,
makes
like,
sense.
That's kind of why China wants Taiwan, almost, because if they had Taiwan, they could make their own chips and they don't need us as much.
Okay.
Also,
Microchips.
Yeah, microchips, not real chips.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
So, what is your thoughts on the Ukraine war stuff?
So I
don't know,
like
but
recent stuff. I kind of been slowing down on that. I haven't really been looking at it, but my initial opinion is Russia is the aggressor. Ukraine is protecting themselves. Now, you can argue on whether we should be sending them money or not. I believe we should be, because it pretty dependent on if they win this war or not, whatever will happen. But it's not like they're gonna push Russia back. Like, realistically, Ukraine isn't winning the war by taking land back and defeating the Russians. That's not happening. It's just
that's never happened.
it literally is impossible, basically. But and a big thing is, if we would have just let them use the long range missiles from the start, a lot of things would have been different. And then we gave it to them like recently, and I mean, it's just too late. I mean, it's pretty much just Ukraine is holding back as best as they can, but they're still slowly getting pushed back. That's just what it is. But I think we should support Ukraine, but that's kind of it depends if you believe in isolationism or whatever, where we should just stick to ourselves and focus on ourselves only, or if we should be kind of the beacon of hope and help other countries.
Okay. So, you're... Never mind. I was about to say something dumb.
Okay. Let's talk about a little bit about space. Okay, so I think Mars is supposed to be 2026, right? Or 27?
Supposedly.
Or is that way farther out for Mars?
Hypothetically, it could be around there.
Okay, so obviously, you're not a NASA scientist, so but what do you think we will get from Mars?
Obviously,
as of
like
first landing.
At the first landing, obviously we'll get a lot of scientific data. We'll get more abstractly, we'll obviously get like a lot of inspiration and hope as a species. But I guess like concretely, we'll get a lot of data from that on like how it works mechanically, and like humans being on the surface as opposed to like the Perseverance rover. Obviously, it's different. And just like little things that like we might not have known unless we were physically there. Like obviously we know a lot, but we can't know like everything about how it works unless we're physically there. Like we can simulate the environment all we want, but until we have feet on the ground, we're not gonna know every single problem until we're there.
Do you think when we go, is it going to be kind of like the moon landing? Well, actually, I'm not 100% sure if we land on the moon and then went. Like, do you think we're going to land there and then pretty much just set it back for another long time till we actually start doing more stuff in space? Or do you think it's going to be like kind of a chain reaction? Like, we get to Mars and then we're like, fuck it, let's start mining asteroids. Let's start actually getting resources from space. Like, do you think it's going to kick off the new kind of, not space race necessarily, but the
space age?
Yeah, space age. Do you think it's going to kick it off, or do you think it's going to still be a way ahead?
Well, of course, the reason the Apollo missions were like that were political reasons. Obviously, just our arms race with like Russia, but that definitely NASA. Like I've been following NASA for a while, and it's like the narrative they're pushing is definitely like with the Artemis program, that they're like Artemis 2, they're going to orbit the moon, make sure we can do that. And then Artemis 3, they're actually going to land and set up the beginnings for a lunar colony. And it's like all those sort of articles that have been officially published, NASA's like most of their narrative is that we're going back and we're going there to stay and go further. And like a large part of like future Artemis missions that like have been confirmed but not funded yet, a large part of it is setting up lunar colonies. And of course, a lunar colony is the best, most secure way to be able to go to Mars because we have the experience of setting up that colony. And obviously, it's cheaper to, go off of the moon's surface because of the lower gravity.
You're never going on social media and then it's just like, oh, the world's going to be a great place after seeing it. It's always negative things or nasty I don't know. It's just, social media is it's just a poison. I don't know.
Right. And I mean, there's a lot of psychology behind that, but I mean, it's just like the parts of the internet that get clicks. Cause there's like, I'm not too big in psychology, but I know there's like some sort of thing about like negativity and tragedy draws more attention.
Oh yeah.
And it's like it makes people think things are more negative, and that's a positive feedback loop where things just get worse and worse, or seemingly like things aren't actually getting worse in the world. Like it's been the way it is since the last million years of human history, and like it's the good shit is still there if like you set yourself up for like you look at positive shit, you are conscious of that sort of negativity bias, and like you look for shit that's positive, actually helpful, even productive for you, you know. And it's like I know you like tend to just like stay off of social media a lot, and that obviously helps too. But like what I usually do is I just follow like on Instagram, I usually just follow like martial arts and science related shit, and then maybe some funny shit or like some shit about games I play.
Yeah, for me, social media, I got Twitter, but I really don't check it like at all. And then Instagram, I'll literally open it maybe twice or 3 times a day, check stories, see if anyone I know posted, check notes, and I'm off. Like I don't watch reels. Well, okay, every once in a while I'll watch reels. I'm not going to say I don't watch reels. But I don't it's not a normal thing for me. And I don't really scroll on random posts. And then I just watch YouTube about the military. That's about it. I will say I watch too much YouTube, but it's usually about things just kind of what I want to do with my life. So I'd say it's kind of a net positive because I'm gaining information on things I'm trying to do. We're gonna wrap it up. I think that was a pretty good episode. I'm still mad that we lost that last one, but I think this one
pressed for a little, but like
this one was great, guys. So I hope you guys have a great night. I'm gonna end the recording. Subscribe to the What Do You Think podcast. Like and comment for another episode. Enjoy, and also I'll cut it down and make sure there's like a smaller video so people could actually.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Hell yeah.